Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you'll please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Guide us through the evening. We come with grateful hearts for your blessings. Amen.
Amen. We are honored tonight to have members of the Carl Boyd Post 42 here in Cartersville with us for a couple of proclamations and for some recognitions. I know earlier I asked you to step forward to do the Pledge of Allegiance. There's so many of you. We'll recognize you in it. Why don't you just lead us in the pledge from where you are. That'll keep you from climbing over us, folks.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
We really should start
Ms. Henry, the roll, please.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1.
Here.
Jace Stepp, Ward 2. Louis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5.
Here.
Lori Pruitt, Ward 6.
Here.
Our first order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from our September 4th meeting. Council, you've had these well in advance, and you may make any recommendations that you see fit.
Make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the minutes are approved unanimously. I want to call Ken Wilson forward, please. He's the Junior Vice Commander of Public Relations for Carl Boyd Post 42 here in Cartersville to start off our meeting tonight. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you and the council for allowing us to come here tonight. This is a great thing you're doing. We really appreciate it. If you don't mind, I would like to turn around and address the audience, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're here for two proclamations. One is recognizing the city of Cartersville as a Purple Heart city. This is a national effort. You can go online and you can Google Purple Heart City. You can find out all that. It's a national effort that's going on. We do here tonight. We have some Purple Heart recipients. At this time, I would like for those Purple Heart recipients to stand up, please. Let the Purple Heart people stand up if you want to, or sit down. That's up to you. Big honor. Let's sit down. We have a state commander involved with the Purple Heart. I'm going to ask him to come forward now to introduce himself, his title. I'm the world's worst. I just met him a few minutes ago. So, excuse me, please come forward and say a few words.
Members of the City Council and everyone here, I want to thank you. First of all, it's a privilege to be in a city that recognizes its veterans. It's a particular honor to be in a city that is singling out Purple Heart veterans tonight. So I really want to thank you for that. It is not cliche to say that all gave some and some gave all, and that freedom is not free. We are fortunate enough to live in the greatest country in the world, and cities such as this that take time and the effort to honor their veterans. It's an absolute privilege and it's humbling to be here tonight. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Would the Purple Heart recipients stand up and state your name and which branch of service you were in and where you currently live?
Marvin Garner, I served in the Army over 24 years. Now live in a great city of Recycler, outside of Dallas.
Thank you.
Rome, Georgia. I was in the branch Army, and we there for 10 years. So resided in Rome. So nice to meet you.
I'm Howard Cochran, I'm from Rome, Georgia, and I served in the Army.
Thank you, sir.
Doug Middleton in Roswell, Georgia. Went from private to colonel over 30 years, U.S. Army.
All right.
You got one?
John Earwood. I was in the U.S. Army, lived out in Matco. I was 4th Infantry, J-70 Fields.
Ian Seymour, Indian Company 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines. I live here in Cartersville.
Any other Purple Heart recipients? Let's give those guys.
On behalf of the City of Cartersville and our City Council, I'm honored to be able to read this proclamation. It says, whereas the people of the City of Cartersville have a great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served their country and this community in the armed forces, and whereas veterans have paid the high price of freedom by leaving their families and communities and placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all, and whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women from Cartersville who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens, and whereas many men and women in uniform have given their lives while serving in the armed forces, and whereas on April 26th of 2014, Governor Nathan Deal officially designated August 7th of 2014 as Purple Heart Day in Georgia to remember and recognize veterans who are recipients of the Purple Heart Medal. Now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Santini, Mayor of the City of Cartersville, do hereby proclaim the City of Cartersville to be a Purple Heart City, honoring the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform wounded or killed by the enemy while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans. I'd like to present this to the Purple Heart folks that are here today.
February this year, our great state was tied second to last for fewest Purple Heart cities and counties in the state. Because of the great city of Cartersville, Rome, Dalton, Blacksburg, and many others, we're now number 4 in the country for most Purple Heart cities and counties. And we recently returned from National Convention Military Order of Purple Heart. While there, as Commander of Chapter 525, I was authorized to present the special people a special Proud Supporter Award. We have our sisters who will pass the money and take these out. We hope you will wear it with pride and support our brothers and sisters while serving to keep our country free for future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, how do you top something like that? Ken, go ahead. Try to. I don't know if we'll top it, but it's equally important.
Tomorrow is POWMIA Day. And we've asked the city to do a proclamation to that extent. I want to ask anyone here in the audience tonight that wasn't a prisoner of war, please stand, or a family member was a prisoner of war in any way, shape. Please stand. You know, MIA, there's a lot of them out there that have not been accounted for. This is to try to recognize and keep the effort alive, to try to identify and find those missing in action, and also to pay tribute to those who suffered as prisoners of war serving their country. At this time, Mayor,
I have this proclamation. It says, whereas throughout our nation's history, the men and women of America's armed forces have preserved our freedom, protected our security, and upheld our democratic values. From the battles of the American Revolution through the crucible of 2 world wars, the challenging peacekeeping and humanitarian missions of today's post-Cold War era, our men and women in uniform have stood proudly in defense of the United States and in the cause of liberty. In these 2 centuries since our nation's birth, more than 1 million have paid the price of that liberty with their lives. Joining the ranks of these heroes are thousands who have been held as prisoners of war or whose fate has never been resolved. Many have been lost in the chaos of battle, the grief of their loss made more acute for their families and their fellow Americans because of the inability to determine whether they perished or survived. Captive Americans, cruelty stripped of their freedom, treated with contempt and brutality, or used as pawns by their captors in a larger political struggle, have fought long, lonely battles against despair, physical and psychological torture, and the ultimate fear of being forgotten. And whereas Americans will never forget those who have borne the indignities and sufferings of captivity in service to our country, those missing in action, or those who died as prisoners of war, far from home and family, on National POW MIA Recognition Day, we affirm our commitment to those still missing and renew our pledge to make every effort to obtain the answers to their fate. We can do no less for these American heroes and for their families who have endured such profound loss and whose suffering continues as long as their loved ones' fates remain unknown. Now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Santini, do hereby proclaim September 19th of 2014 as official POW MIA Recognition Day. I ask all citizens of Cartersville to join me in honoring former and present American prisoners of war. I also encourage the American people to remember with special sympathy and concern the courageous families who maintain their steadfast vigil and who persevere in their search for the answers and for the peace that comes only with certainty. Finally, I call upon local officials and private organizations to observe this day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. I'd like to present this to you.
Mayor, I'm going to ask one person in the crowd here, one of the city's own electric department, Mr. Von Gordy. His father was a prisoner of war in World War II in Germany. Mr. Gordy, would you like to say anything? I'd like you to accept the proclamation.
You understand?
Just take, you've read this morning. Thank you so much for helping me out with it. My dad flew 67 combat missions. Got shot down on 68. He served 42 days, killed that again. Y'all bear with me. Just to give you a little history of what he went through. He ate soup made of grass and horse for those 42 days. When he was captured in Mons. I think he told me 120 attacks. They would give you one reason to shave. Well, guess who was the last person to shave? He said, I felt like somebody was going to get right in his face. I can't tell you how my dad would feel today. He's been gone about 14 years. Mr. Mayor. I'm happy. I really am. And I'm just glad to know I'm not fighting for it. I'm glad that Ken, son, man, what you've been through. All of it, what y'all been through. I keep telling everybody, I done see shit. I didn't see nothing. But I was there, ready to go, get needed. And that's why my dad kept stressing to his son, he was there. You gave it. You're all that you do. I just want to thank everybody here tonight. Ms. Brooke, Mr. Stella, David, thank everyone.
pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do this exact same thing tomorrow morning in the county commissioner's office area at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you're available, please come by. We would like to have that office area full of people. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for putting this together for us. And as a bit of respect to y'all, it's a small token, but I know you probably have other things that you might have to do tonight or places you might want to be. So you're certainly welcome to stay, but if you'd rather have something else to do or somewhere else to be, then you're certainly free to leave at your leisure. And thank you, and thank you for your contributions and your service. God bless you all. All right, Mr. Porta, we do have the second reading of an amendment to the Retirement Board ordinance. If you'll get us started with that, please.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the second reading. The board changed to amend to the Retirement Board. This basically is made up of 5 members, 3 are elected by the employees. The amendment basically changes the term of the board appointees that are elected by the employees from 3 years to 6 years. Part of that is the state is kind of starting out a new fiduciary responsibility of board trustee, and takes 2 years to become certified as a trustee. So we're extending the term to a 6-year term for the board members. I recommend approval of this amendment to the pension board amendment.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or discussion on this item?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dan. We have a series of first readings of ordinances, and Mr. Osborne's going to handle those for us.
Thank you, Mayor. First application is for single-family residence in the Country Club Estates subdivision on Dogwood Street. You see everything in the map that's in color. We've just got a few white areas in Country Club Estates. On the zoning map, the white represents unincorporated Bartow County, and so this family would like to be annexed to send their grandchildren to city schools. Planning Commission recommended approval. For this case, all legal advertisement has been placed properly, and city departments reviewed the application, had no objections. Just do one more time, please. And so this is a 1960s ranch-style house. Our building official and code enforcement folks talked with the family members and went over just any potentials in doing a drive-by, and no objections.
Okay. Any discussion at this point? Seeing none, I'll open up a public hearing. We've got 2 public hearings after this, one relative to zoning and one to annexation. I'll open up a public hearing rather to the zoning portion of this request, AZ 14-04. Anybody wish to step forward and speak for or against may do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the zoning hearing relative to this request and open up the annexation public hearing relative to request AZ 14-04. Anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council will take this up for final consideration at our first meeting in the month of October, the first Thursday of October. Richard, if you'll please continue on.
Thank you, Mayor. This annexation case has, similar to the last one, been properly advertised legally, and this is an annexation application based on the larger BIG development, the industrial development occurring just north of the Budweiser plant. There's existing property on Cass White Road in the city, zoned heavy industrial, and in the business park overlay district. This area immediately to the east would be annexed. It's approximately 50 acres. City departments had no objections. Planning Commission recommended approval.
Okay. And are there any questions or discussion on this item at this time? This is case AZ 14-05. Again, we'll have 2 public hearings relative to this, and so I'll open up a public hearing on the zoning portion of this request for AZ 14-05. Anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against, may do so at this time. Aye, and if you would, state your name and your address for our clerk, please.
Yes, my name is Jeff Holt, H-O-L-T. My home address is 907 Margaret Street, Hapeville, H-A-P-E-V-I-L-L-E, Georgia, 30354. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'll be very brief. My name is Jeff Holt. I'm an attorney at Burr & Foreman, and our firm represents BIG here in the States. Just wanted to say thank you for your consideration, let you know that I was here. If you have any questions that I can answer, I'm happy to entertain those. And that's all. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Again, there's a public hearing for the zoning portion of application AZ 14-05. Anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against, may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the zoning hearing and I'll open up a public hearing relative to the annexation portion of the hearing, AZ 14-05. And once again, anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against, may do so at this time. And seeing none, I will close the public hearing for that annexation portion of the request. And once again, council will take this up for second reading and final consideration at our first meeting in October.
Mayor, question. Are we looking at Cass White Road?
Yes, Cass White Road, as Richard shows it right there. The road that's just on the north side of that map, the road that runs right there, that's the Great Valley Parkway. That's the entrance to Highland 75.
Gotcha.
And just south of where that property is, actually touching that, is the Anheuser-Busch property. Also important to note on that the county commissioner aware of this and supports this as well, which was important to the city as we continue to work together for economic development. Next item, Richard.
Related to the BIG development, upon annexation and zoning, the property we just spoke about would be a part of the Business Park Overlay District. The map of this overlay district would need to be amended. The case has been properly advertised, and there have been no objections to amending the map.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. And this is ZMA 14-02. Anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against this proposed amendment by the City of Cartersville may step forward and do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing relative to ZMA 14-02. And again, council will take this up for second reading and consideration at our first meeting in October. Of note, if you're not aware, BIG, Beaulieu International Group, we celebrated their arrival, Belgian floor manufacturing, specialty manufacturing company that'll be locating on that property. And we are delighted to have them, and certainly the efforts of our economic development department and our partners in economic development. So they'll be a great addition to our family of industries, and we certainly welcome them once again. The next item is a public hearing relative to the urban redevelopment plan. Mr. Grove. Please do.
This is relative to a 53-acre proposed development that sits south across East Main Street from Coles. It is eligible as a tax allocation district because of previous use in mining and landfill. What this will allow to happen is the tax increment or growth in the valuation of the property will be used to support bonds that will do a series of public improvements on the property, namely public access to Main Street, including a traffic signal, a new connecting road on the east side, landfill, excavation and disposal, and site work. As the mayor mentioned, we're having a public hearing tonight. At the next council meeting, there will be an item for the council to consider adoption of the urban redevelopment plan and related resolutions to move the process forward. After that, resolutions will be forwarded to the county and to the city school board because they also have property tax that will be captured as part of that development. And then sometime later, a bond issue supported by the tax growth in the amount of approximately $2.3 million. It kind of gives you a thumbnail of what the expenses will be relative to the public improvements and the schedule going forward. I didn't mention that it will be anchored by a new Kroger, 53 acres with a commercial square footage total in the development of 231,000 square feet.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. And just as another side note to that, this was something that was voted on by the taxpayers. This development tool, TAD, Tax Allocation District, was voted on in the fall of 2007 as a tool that we could use to help develop challenged land like this one and to help encourage quality developers to come and turn, what is it, a sow's ear into a purse or something like that. Very similar to the project that's down in Ackworth with the Super Target that was used to be a landfill many years ago. So that being said, public hearing, I'll open up a public hearing relative to this urban redevelopment plan, East Main Street TAD. And anybody wishing to step forward and speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And again, that timetable that Mr. Grove mentioned will continue to follow on that track.
Yeah, there will be a public notice in advance of the next meeting that will advertise the action we're going to take.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, on to the next items. Dan, you got the next three.
Mayor and Council, the first item is the renewal of senior supplemental insurance for our retirees. United Healthcare is our current provider. Insurance is increasing approximately 9%. Recommended approval is on a calendar year basis. New rates will go back in effect in January.
Okay. Council have any discussion on this? And if not, a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Dan.
Yes, Mayor. The next item is a pension plan, the IRS determination letter. We have a defined benefit pension plan that's been in existence since the 60s. It's been a while since we've had the IRS determination letter done on this, since 1997. After reviewing this and working with a ERISA attorney, the IRS has penalized us $15,000 to bring the plan up into compliance. They've had minor amendments that had to go along with this. The mayor and the retirement board wants the council, if they do so, to approve it. The retirement board has approved this and recommends changes to the amendments to the pension plan. I recommend this for your approval.
Okay. Questions, comments for Dan? And if not, a motion's in order.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Pension plan, IRS determination letter. This pension plan, this would be from the city of Cartersville?
Yes, sir.
How did the IRS get tied up in it?
Well, every pension plan, even if it's a government pension plan, really has to go through it's kind of like a certification process, and they require us to have the plan document corrected and all, I guess, prepared properly as all standards are, even like a private sector company. And so we had to go through the process of getting the plan, make sure it was updated with all the information and amendments as required by the IRS. And that's basically this step. It's a formality to get their final approval.
One more question. This is personal reason why I'm asking. Once you establish and retire under a pension plan, that's the amount you get for the rest of your life? There's no increase?
It just depends. We were trying to, that's kind of a different step from this, but if the plan, is fully funded, or if the board recommends a pay increase or basically a cost of living increase, then that, yes, the retiree would be subject or would be able to get that additional amount.
You can factor in cost of living increases, and it basically depends upon how the plans are run and how wealthy they are.
Okay. Not at Lockheed then.
I don't know about that one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any
I have a
questions?
question.
Go ahead.
Do we plan going forward to engage ERISA counsel on
Yes,
some
ma'am.
sort of ongoing basis?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the pension board has elected to hire a ERISA attorney to take a look at the plan.
It'll cost us between $2,500 and $3,000 a year to do that, but we plan to do that.
Great.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next one, Dan.
Yes, Mayor, the last time I have is Macro, basically Air HVLLS fans are basically your typical ceiling fans in your own home. These are large fans. 2 large fans will go in the garage maintenance shop to help with the heating and cooling there. Total cost for the lowest bidder was $8,415, and I recommend approval.
Any questions on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve the low bid from Allied Materials Handling.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Bob, you got the next one. And Tommy, you're on deck.
Sir, Mr. Mayor and Council, we bring for you tonight a bid to repair our 2 million gallon clear well. This is a piece of infrastructure you're all very familiar with. It's been cracked and leaking for quite some time now, and we would like to take the first stab at getting that repaired. Received bids from 2 reputable contractors, Precon and Engineered Restorations, both of which we have firsthand experience with. Precon, which is the low bidder in this case, is actually the contractor that built the Tank Hill tank that serves Anheuser-Busch, so that has worked very well. What we're asking for is a not to exceed $75,000. This tank has a largely undetermined amount of damage to it. We want to get started with this $75,000 investment, check to see how their work performs, and then we will go back in and complete the repair hopefully in the future. So we would ask for your approval for $75,000 to begin this repair.
Okay. Questions, comments, or motions?
Question, Mayor. Bob, this is more than just a calculated try. In other words, we really feel like this could work just on the exterior.
These companies actually build concrete tanks, so they experience these kind of problems all the time. In the past, we've used other vendors that were not specialists in this area. That's why we're largely certain that this will work, but we would like to take this trial step with it, let it cycle through the cold of the winter and then warm up again in the spring, and then reassess what the repair has done before we invest fully in it, because it's really a repair process that we don't have any experience with, but they deal with routinely.
And not to do it, but to wait and completely redo it would be 3 times that amount.
It could be as much as 3 times that amount. The issue is on the south side of the tank. It's 20 some odd feet high, and it's really hard to get up there and really measure out exactly how much is there. And I think that's what's contributing to the uncertainty and what the total footage that needs to be repaired actually is.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? If there are none, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Bob. It's the Tommy Sanders show here.
Mayor.
Fire away.
Thanks. This first item is for our commercial garbage service. We need some dumpsters, also known as front loader containers. We took bids. We received bids from 5 companies for 40 dumpsters of various sizes and shapes. And the low bidder was Lewis Steelworks of Wren, Georgia, and the bid is $27,675. And we recommend approval.
Okay. Any discussion?
Motion to approve the low bid from Lewis Steelworks.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Continue on, please.
Thank you. The next item is is bids for a compact track loader. It's a skid steer, also known, a lot of people call it a Bobcat, even though Bobcats is a name brand. There's a lot of manufacturers of that, of a compact track loader. This is for our stormwater division. We had 6 bids, ranging from $54,181 to $68,548. The lowest bidder that met all the specs was Reinhardt Equipment Company from Rome, Georgia. They bid a 2014 Bobcat T750, and the price was $60,855. And we recommend approval of Reinhardt Equipment Company.
Motion to approve the purchase from Reinhardt Equipment.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Continue on, sir.
The next item is we would like to seek your approval for the mayor to sign the annual recertification for the community rating system. This system allows us to get a reduced, allows our citizens that have to have flood insurance to get a reduced rate from the National Flood Insurance Program. And that this is just, his signature is just needed on the recertification document.
Question, Mayor. Tommy, there's no cost involved with this.
That's
Is
correct.
that right? In other words, Mr. Wilson's just gone through and personally certified all of these items.
Yes,
Is that-
there's, he sent out letters to everybody who has to have flood insurance, and, you know, there's, the only cost would be his time.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the mayor's signature.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Last one for you, Tommy.
This is a item for consulting services from Fox Environmental. As you know, last year we were declared a Phase 2 MS4 permittee, and we use Catherine Fox is an expert in this field of MS4, and the total for her consulting services is $25,850, and we recommend approval. It is a budgeted item.
Okay. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve the proposal from Fox Environmental.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tommy. Dan, you're back for more.
One more time, Mayor. The last one is the historic tour of Oak Hill Cemetery. The Bartow History Museum would like to use the cemetery to have an evening in Oak Hill on September 27th to celebrate the lives of some of the famous residents, current residents there. Recommend approval.
Approval of this agreement.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Riggs.
Yes, Mayor, this is our agreement with Seagas that manages our supplies, and it's an increase in what we pay them from 3 cents to 3.5 cents per decatherm.
Okay. Any discussion on this item? If not, a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item.
This is our Floyd County taxes on our facilities over there, and it's $5,720.75.
Any questions on this item? And if not, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Gary. Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. This is the Parks and Recreation Department requesting a festival zone permit for Dillinger Park for the purpose of having a dog disc banquet for Wolf Sports. This is their 15th year at Dillinger Park for their dog disc championship. We will be following the ordinance of the City of Cartersville Special Event Festival Zone. This event will take place at Shelter 2 and 3. It will be fenced in from 6:30 to 10:30 on October the 11th. Parks and Rec staff will be issuing wristbands to those over 21 and over that will be able to drink beer and wine at this event. And this event it's for invited guests only. It's members of, it's their sponsors, and then the participants and their spouses. And I recommend Johnny Mitchell's Smokehouse will be catering the event. I recommend approval of this.
Okay.
Question, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Craig, will we be paying overtime to our rec staff, and will that be covered under, is that volunteer?
You won't be paying rec for me. No, you will. I'll be doing it. I'll be the one that's doing that.
Well, thank you for volunteering.
You're quite welcome.
Any other questions? And if not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Come on, Ms. Jackson.
The downtown development is proposing a festival zone for the Cartersville Bluegrass Festival on October 18th. The area will be blocked off the way it has been last year. We'll be setting up the same way we did for the First Friday events, having tables where we'll be checking IDs and giving wristbands. We'll have signs saying where the zone is and whether the alcohol where it must be kept. And we'll have signage. The alcohol sales are going to be just from 1 to 7. The festival itself will last until 9.
Okay, thank you. Questions on this item? And if not, a motion will be in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Nancy. Mr. Reinhardt, you got our financial report.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we'll be looking at the July 2014 and comparing it to July 2013. In the general fund, have increases in revenue of $118,000. Expenses have also increased by $29,000. A bit of good news for a change. Local option sales tax, we have an increase compared to last year of about $53,000. Police fines and forfeitures have a decrease of $5,300. Building permits and inspection fees have an increase of $5,300. The water and sewer fund, we have revenues increased by $68,000. Expenses increased by $10,000, and this is due mainly to increased operating expenses. In the gas fund, revenues have increased from last year by $32,000. Expenses have also increased by $356,000. This is due to increased operating expenses, increased cost of gas, purchased gas, and increased capital expenses. In the electric fund, revenues have increased by $269,000. Expenses increased by $240,000. This increase is due to increased operating expenses and increased cost of purchasing electricity. In the stormwater fund, revenues increased from last year by $3,100. Expenses have decreased by about $700, and this is due to decreased operating expenses. In the solid waste fund, revenues increased from last year by $1,600. Expenses decreased by $11,000, and this is due mainly to decreased personnel expenses. And finally, in the fiber optics fund, revenues increased from last year by $5,500, and expenses have increased by $16,000, and this is due mainly to increased operating expenses. That is my report for the evening.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Reinhardt on the financial report? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other business that needs to come before council this evening?
I want to mention something.
Go ahead.
And I never do, so
Go ahead. I know it's got to be important.
I'm going to spread out my papers here and just, the city of Cartersville is very blessed to have the Lake Altoona as a water supply. And every year, one day is set aside to clean up Lake Altoona, and that's coming up on September the 27th, a week from Saturday in the morning. And there's a picnic lunch afterwards. If you want to volunteer and get involved, you can go online to the Lake Altoona Association, spend a couple of hours volunteering, cleaning up the lake, and helping our wonderful water supply. There we go.
Very good. Thank you.
Mayor, I have an announcement.
Go right
too.
ahead.
Thank you, Lori. I agree with you. We're also very lucky in this town to have Roselawn every year. And this coming weekend on Saturday and Sunday, in fact, I passed them. They're already setting up right now. Roselawn will be coming in, a juried program. Honors will be done on 12 o'clock on Saturday, so come to that and see some of our businesses be honored at that time. And then all day Sunday and Saturday will be music and vendors, crafts, art. It's a really great 2 days, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Hope
Thank
everyone
you.
supports it.
Absolutely. I know we got some folks here that I'm sure are here because they really want to be here, not because their academics are requiring them to be.
Why my son is not here, I still don't know, because they have the same class together, but that's okay. Well, I'm going to talk to you after the meeting.
Yeah, I need just a minute of your time after the meeting, if you don't mind. Anything else for council? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourn.